Justin, where you been
Ryan.
at, mate? 10 years it's been. Where you been at?
Prison. 10 years?
How long's it been?
Well, it's been a while since we've seen each other, that's for sure.
We were just looking over videos then, weren't we?
Yeah, Germany. Predominantly, yeah. Shape Pew days, which is a long, long time ago.
How long is it? 17?
Yeah, 2017 was probably the last time.
So 4 years. Yeah. So where
Feels
have you
like
been?
longer though, to be fair.
It does.
Still been around. We would have seen each other more recently than that with GYMSHARK and everything. So
Yeah,
obviously we were
true.
together at GYMSHARK for a while until they binned me. But yeah, that was probably the
Do you wanna
last
talk about it?
time.
Are you okay?
Still a touchy subject. But that was probably still the last time that I was kind of like active or busy on social media. Like, I think you remember I was never like amazing and hot on social media.
Yeah.
I think it was just something that I kind of fell into. I enjoyed training and talking about it.
I always said that to you though, didn't I? I always said that because your engagement, whenever you post anything back then, it used to get
back then. It used to be alright. Yeah.
No, that's what I mean. So you had the potential to do it. So obviously you're back now.
Yeah, I got to it. I mean, I was saying this before. Like, I think it's a very big trying to find the right word. It's taxing.
Yeah.
Being this, I hate this word, but like an influencer, being on social media is demanding.
The thing is as well, unless it comes easy to you and you enjoy that world, it's very hard. And I will be a massive advocate of that. I'm someone who struggles to do it. I have to be told, right, you've got to be posting at 6 p.m. tonight. I'm getting into it and I'm starting to understand algorithms and all that kind of stuff, but because it's not my forte, it is a struggle. So I do get where you're coming from.
But that was the beauty of it back then, is I didn't know anything about algorithms or the tricks and things to use. I just took a picture or filmed it and I posted it, and that is literally it, and it worked really well. But because I think I didn't keep up with the times and stuff, I didn't learn the new tricks, etc.
And
it was just
cut
like,
it anymore, does it?
Yeah, it's not enough.
People trying to do it.
Yeah, because there wasn't that many people doing it. All right, so it was a little bit easier. But it wasn't just that made me stop. I think it kind of gets in your head a little bit.
Oh, massively.
And it wasn't good for me.
Yeah.
So I there was plenty of times where you could see I took a step back for a little while.
Yeah.
I was doing it a lot less than I had been.
But
And then each time it got harder to get kind of back into the routine of doing it.
But if it's for your mental health, you can't knock you for doing that. That comes first. And if it was affecting you that way, then 100%.
Well, it's difficult because you're building an entire following, etc., whatever, based on just how you look.
Your highlights, and
your highlights, but I think when we were doing it, it was just I was in shape, so I took a picture. So then it feels like you've got this expectation to live up to all the time, and it's whether you're like, I know you have the same feelings about being in condition, etc., all the time when you're posting these photos, etc. And then in your mind, you're like, oh, is this good enough? Blah blah blah.
Well, you're effectively putting a dartboard on your back, aren't you?
On your back,
and
exactly.
you're being targeted. So unless you're not, I've had it constantly. I've recently got comfortable with posting off-season pieces. I hate them.
Yeah, I remember before you would like never take your top off. You like still had like the best condition, like obviously you were world renowned. You're on an Olympia stage, one of the best physiques in the world, but you were still conscious. And you know, because everyone's comparing. So if you have maybe you had a bad meal the day before, you had a big meal the day, so you're feeling a little bit soft. And then if someone else is super lean, they're like, this is my opportunity to get a photo where I look better than Ryan.
But do you remember what it was for me? And the turning point for me was at Body Power, William Bonac, and he said to me, he said, Ryan, because I was in condition and I was panicking about all these people queuing up to take a picture, and he said to me, why do you tense so hard when you have all these pictures, you're burning all these calories and stuff like that? And I said, the thing is, I don't want to look bad on a picture because obviously these people have come. And he turned around to me and said, look, these guys have dieted all year, you're an inspiration to them, but they want that one picture where they look better than you, or they've died, this is their big day. So he's like, give it to them, let them have it. So he says, stop tensing, as long as they're not taking your place on the Olympia stage and they're beating you, or effectively taking money away from your salary by beating you, then let them have their time. And I took that on board. I thought, you know what, because William does, he'll like shy back, keep his elbow back so he looks smaller. So these guys are out angling an open class bodybuilder.
Because he's the one on the Olympia stage.
And he says, as long as they're not beating me on that Olympia stage, which is all that matters, he's fine with it. And since then I've been more comfortable with it. Today, like that guy who's wanting pictures and stuff, before I'd have been trying to tense up, look as conditioned as possible. Whereas now I'm like, no, like, let him have it.
It doesn't matter, it's like one photo, you know where you are, what you've done, etc., so that shouldn't matter. But it's always easier to say these things than to actually live it and do it.
I know.
But I think it's just very easier on social media for it to get away from you, and also it's just like, it takes over everything. I remember I just felt so out of my depth. I remember the turning point for me was when I was with GYMSHARK, and I was like,
I
remember just being like, what am I doing at GYMSHARK? And I remember there was a Body Power where it was the first like event. I think I signed with them and they were at FIBO, but I didn't really know anyone, so I went over, said hello, and I was on another stand. And then we had the Body Power that year, and I remember we were in a meeting after Body Power, and I sat down and it was like, you were one side, Steve Cook was the other side, and I was like, what the fuck am I doing here? And I was like, and then that in my head actually had the worst effect on me, because I was like, I shouldn't be here. I was like, my stuff is not as like, I felt so out of my depth.
It's so weird you say that, because if Amy, my wife, was here now, everything you're saying there is exactly what I have said to her. So I turn up and I'm like, how have GYMSHARK taken on? Yes, obviously I compete and I've done well with, but GYMSHARK is this brand where the influencers, Steve Cook, like, they were comparing me to people like that, Chris Bumstead, and they're all on about lenses and YouTube. I wasn't a YouTuber, but I'm still not really a YouTuber. I'm trying to get it on now, but they're all these big YouTubers. They understand lighting. They understand where's the best angles and all. Me, I'm a bodybuilder. I'm way out of my sorts here. And I struggled, if I'm brutally honest, with GYMSHARK, and they know that. I found it easy to talk to the staff rather than the other influencers. And there's nothing against them. They're amazing people. But I just didn't have that thing in common. Because when I went into the gym, I was like, right,
I just want to train.
Gym.
You want to train.
Headphones on, train.
And that was just exactly the same for me. I wanted to focus on my training, and the social media was just a byproduct of that. I didn't want it to affect I wanted to get in the gym, train, enjoy it, and then obviously it became work, and then it was like.
You said that,
But I was just felt out of my depth, and then I remember like obviously you're with one of the biggest, best brands to be with on social media in the fitness industry.
Yeah, definitely.
And you've got your manager or whatever asking you to make content, which is within their right. You're getting paid to do it. And in my head, I remember them asking me, and I'd be like, I'm gonna make some. I'd go to the gym and I'd film this stuff, and then I'd get home and I'd be like, shit, it's terrible. Because then I would go on Instagram and I'd look at Steve's, I'd look at like, all these other athletes. I'm like, I can't send them this. They're gonna sack me. And then they sacked me because I didn't post anything. So it was like I killed and then my head I went down this hole. And I was like, I've got to step away from social media.
It's so funny you say that, because that's similar to what I was. Because when we was posting stuff, I'd only post stuff if I was a week out from a show. I'd only film. All my content would be from a week out, and I'd filter it out. And they're going, but that's not real life. Like, you need to. And even now, they're telling me to take all the effects out of it. Just go back to raw. And like, I look back shit at the minute. Like, in my eyes, I do, because I'm off season. It's not the way I want to look. But it seems to be engaging so much more
because it's more real.
You're being real to it. But it's just funny how you talk like that. We think it, we just don't talk about it. It's a weird thing.
But it had a big effect on me. I think it affects everyone. I'm getting back, as you can see. I'm trying to get back on social media. It's difficult, as we just said. Like, everything's changed. You have to be good at all this editing and etc. And that was, like we just said, it was never our thing. Like, I like training. I took a photo. The photo did alright, and that was literally it. So it's difficult, and there's loads of tricks and techniques that you're meant to use, and loads of different platforms now. So it's a lot harder.
Of course it is.
But I'm trying to not worry about it. I'm just trying to enjoy it like I did when I first started. When I first started, I didn't care. I wasn't looking for a sponsor. I was just like, I'm going to post a picture. If it does alright, it does alright. Whereas then it got to a point where you're just comparing yourself to everyone else. And you got that guy looks better, he's leaner than you, or that guy's bigger, or he's lifting more weight, or his picture's edited better. And then I'm just like, I'm not going to post it. So now I'm just like, I try and just be like, this looks alright. I chuck it up. Try and forget about it, you know, because it shouldn't be that you're getting critiquing yourself on this stuff. We all know it's a highlight reel, and that social media isn't the real world.
So following on from that, then, what's your plans going forward? Obviously, you're back in the game, but there's got to be more to this.
Yeah, well, I think we were talking briefly earlier, weren't we, about kind of competing?
Because
I mean, I competed because I loved it and I enjoyed it.
It makes you accountable, doesn't it? But it gives you that end goal.
With training and nutrition, it always makes you take that next level up, and that's what I've been missing for a few years. I haven't actually really made much progress training wise in the last few years. I've been focusing on like work and stuff, and my training gets relaxed, particularly my nutrition. So I do intend to get back on stage at one point. What federation? What class, whatever category, I'm not 100% sure. As we were saying earlier, the difference is I've always done it on my own. It's always been a solo thing, and that's potentially why I maybe haven't reached the potential that I want to. Particularly when you're like coaching yourself and you start second, you coach other
thing is,
people, you're confident in this is what you should do, and you tell them and they listen to you. But when you coach yourself, you just second guess everything. You're like, this guy's doing that, but I'm not doing it. You're like, am I doing it right?
No matter at whatever level you're at, you look at the best of the best in the world, the Olympians. They all have, even if it's not a coach, most people have coaches, but they'll have someone to be, again, accountable to, or to fall back on, or to ask questions, because you're putting your body through the biggest stress it's ever going to go through, and it's such a mindfuck, so to speak. And like one day you'll feel fat, the next day you feel skinny, the next day you've lost muscle tissue, and you're that fatigued you can't function properly. So you do need someone basically to rub you on the back and say, everything's fine. Even if it's not in a proper coaching thing, it's just that everything's going to be okay. Get your head down.
Because the thing is, I think when I did it, none of my friends were competitors. Like, they're normal 20-year-old guys, they like a drink or whatever. My family didn't know anything about it. So it was literally, I had a few friends that started competing later on. But when I started, I didn't know anyone that did it. And it was just like, I want to try it.
So that is what I'm going to obviously talk about a little bit now. That's where I've been at for the last 2 years, and you can see my placings why. So I was with a team called Food Tech, and there was 20-30 bodybuilders, all with the same goal, stepping on stage, being the best that they can be, and they were all really supportive. We had one head coach, all the rest of us, and like every 2 weeks we'd meet up at one of the gyms, because they all own gyms, backstreet bodybuilding gyms and stuff. We'd all meet up on a Friday night, we'd all train, strip off, it was very weird, but strip off, see where you need to go wrong, your strengths, your weaknesses, what you need to improve on. We'd all go for a meal after, and it'd have that camaraderie, but like the support network. I felt untouchable then, because like I knew I could always speak to someone, and it had that support. And then over the years, so to speak, 4 years ago, I moved to America. I lost that support network, and then everyone just fizzled out. People retired, injuries got to them, they started families. Obviously we were going into our 30s, some were in their 40s now, and it all just broke up. And Jay Cutler said to me, I said, why did you retire so soon? I remember him saying to me, because I lost my winning formula. And what his winning formula was, his wife did all this thing, and his team around him, and that's how I felt at the minute. And you can see my placings, 8th last year, 5th the year before, because I did it on my own. I had no one to speak to. I had a coach, he was in America, we just didn't click. We weren't really on the same page with how we approach nutrition and training and stuff, so it was very hard. But this year, a few of the lads, we've all been thinking it, but we haven't really got our heads together, but we have now. And from 5-6 weeks ago, a few of the lads have all come back. They want to compete again from the Food Tech group, and we've kind of started our mini little group up. So we're not being coached by anyone, we're doing it ourselves, but just we're accountable to each other. And every week we'll meet up, which I did yesterday, check-ins, training together, just everything what I needed, and I already feel in probably the best position I felt in over 3 or 4 years for competing. And this year I said I was done. Like I'm definitely done for the Olympia this year, but it was like started a family. I felt like have I lost the love for competing again and stuff, and I can safely say I haven't. It's just I'd lost the support I needed.
And your priorities change, as I said. Like, since I last see you, obviously you got a family now, and obviously
I'm married now.
You got a lot more responsibilities. And competing takes over everything. You have to have that time.
Most selfish sport in the world, I'd say.
100%. And if you don't have that support network, then it's so difficult. It's so difficult.
And I don't know, with the Olympia, everyone's like, I got a message off a guy called, his handle's E-Banks. He's just won the New York Pro in men's physique. Absolute world-class physique. He will be a top 3 contender at the Olympia. And he was saying I was I'm a big inspiration to him, or coming through the ranks and whatever. And he said, I'm sorry to hear you've retired, and it's circulating that I've retired now, just because I said I'm having a year out. And that's like,
sparked a fire.
Massive. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to play on that. I'm going to leave it, let people think I have. Let them sleep on me and whatnot. Do my own thing, stay in my own corner, and then come back next
It's funny
year.
because I've had the same thing since I've started coming back on social media, etc. There's been a few people, I won't know any names, that have been like, he's done, he's past it, he's dead. Whether it's referring to,
I was one of them.
whether it's referring to social media or competing, etc. And every time I hear that, whereas before it kind of would have been like, you're right, and I would have just crawled back into my hole. Now I'm just like, actually,
that's brilliant to hear.
I want to fucking show them, use it
as fuel.
Exactly.
But that shows you in a lot better mental state. Now it shows you in a lot more stronger state, because instead of using it as a weakness, you're using it as a strength.
Yeah, because that's the other thing about this whole social media thing is a lot of these people say they're your friends, etc. on social media, and it's a very fake world.
Oh, it's quite fickle, I'd say that. Yeah. I must admit.
Yeah, on social media they'll be your best mate, but in the real world, you can't really count on them. And a lot of those people, I took some time off social media, as you saw, and it's just like, not that you don't hear from them, but like.
But you're older now, more mature, and you're in a better space by the sounds of it. Right, guys. So that's a wrap on this video. Obviously, Justin just opened up to where he's been at, where he's at now. I've just obviously let you know about where I was falling down or coming short in the last few years, and how I plan to rectify that, and what I'm doing this year, which is the Arnold Classic. You got anything to say?
So what he means to say is he's actually hired me as his coach. So we are going to go on to do some big things, or potentially vice versa, though. So.
Yeah. But on a serious note, though, I'm glad to see Justin's back.
And
obviously,
you, mate. Thank you.
He will smash it. I know he will. Obviously, make sure you do follow him and check his pages out, and make him accountable for stepping back on stage, because I think he's got that mental game on point now, whereas before I think he lacked confidence, whereas he's got it now, so there'll be no stopping him.
And funny enough, you both got the same videographer.
But yeah, so that's it. So thanks for watching, guys.
Yes.
And yeah, stay tuned on both of our channels, pages, etc. to keep up with where we end up.
And make sure you subscribe to the channels and comment below.
Like, follow, subscribe, of course, as always.
You know the
usual.